Welcome back to the All Ball Podcast, where it is all ball all the time. You are here with your host, Sean and Isaiah. This is episode number 56, and today Isaiah has some questions about the whole Chet injury situation. But before all that, of course, Isaiah, how you feeling today, man?
You know, I'm really disappointed to see Chet go down like this. Obviously, most of us knew that injury problems were gonna be a big concern with him. But to see it hit before he could even play a single minute, even a second of real NBA basketball, is disappointing. So with that being said, let's get into the... Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say that, of course, out of all people to injure Chet, it's LeBron, like the one person that everyone was saying, like, oh, the first time Chet, goes to guard LeBron, he's going to fly like 20 feet. And, well, the first time, or not, maybe not the first time, but one of the times that he goes to guard LeBron, the man gets injured for the whole season.
It's, again, and for that to happen in a game that's not even an NBA game. Like, LeBron shouldn't have even been playing for real, and he probably wasn't. And still, this man gets a season-ending injury in his first game against LeBron. Yeah. I don't want to say it, but we both know what we're thinking about LeBron here. We both know.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the questions.
All right, so my first question is, what does this mean for Chet?
Well, so the first thing that I thought of when you asked that question is, this obviously puts him behind Jabari and Paolo.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when it comes down to, I guess you could say, the future matchups,
mm-hmm.
they're going to want to have these storylines of, oh, Chet versus Jabari and Chet versus Paolo, but there's going to be that 1 year difference of NBA experience that Chet won't have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one thing to look at,
see,
at least for the future.
I think a big thing about that too is you have to look at how the storylines shift because of that. Because if we look at the other notable player to miss his whole first year, well, at least recently, because Blake Griffin did too, but Ben Simmons, we see how there was a whole, him and Brandon Ingram thing a little bit. It wasn't that big because Ben Simmons was the clear number one player to take in that draft at the moment. So there was still like a minor storyline about those two. Then Simmons goes down, completely misses his first year. And then the entire narrative shifts and it becomes Ben Simmons versus Donovan Mitchell because they fought for Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that shifts the whole dynamic of who's going to be the rivalry with Chet, because clearly, like you said, because of that 1 year of experience difference, that's going to remove him from that argument with those two guys and anybody else who might happen to blow up from this draft. And it's going to put him in discussions, one for Rookie of the Year next year, and discussions of rivalries against whoever will be the big rookies next year.
Right. And another thing to look at is, how does this affect the rest of the team? And when I say the team, I'm more so talking about Shai.
And I'm glad you asked that, because that was my next question. How does this affect the Thunder as a whole?
So the way I'm looking at it is, Shai isn't an old player by any standards, but he is older than the most of that team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Shai's been on that team long enough to be tired of losing.
Mm-hmm.
So with another year of Chet, well, not another year, but a year of Chet not being there when he should be playing and, progressing as an NBA player, that's going to set the Thunder back, I think, probably even more than 1 year.
Oh, for sure. Because obviously, you have the 1 year of Chet not playing at all. But then you have to put on top of that the year itself of him trying to adjust along with whatever rookie that they have next year. And assuming they get another high pick, that's which I mean, it's safe to assume that they will. That's going to be a big thing of will Chet and whatever new rookie they get be able to both develop at the rate that they should, with both of them being rookies at the same time.
Right. And you know, at what point does Shea say he wants out? He's tired of losing because I mean it seems like that's what most NBA players are doing now when they're not on a winning team and they believe that they should be on a winning team or deserve
Mm-hmm.
more money. You know, they want out.
Exactly.
And well, that makes me have a question for you.
Okay.
Do the Thunder have too much young talent?
Uh, I wouldn't say they have too much young talent. I'd say they have too many young players because don't get me wrong, obviously NBA level guys, we don't have to be weird about that. But relative to other players in the league, the young players on the Thunder aren't all that promising.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I think that's the issue with the team is that it's full of young guys and none of these guys outside of Shea, now Chet, even though he won't be playing, and Josh Giddey are really all that exciting or impressive or have very high standards of potential as far as we know.
Right. And you got to think about it. It's, you know, it's not young guys fighting for vets for playing time, you know, to develop on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's young guys fighting other young guys for that playing time.
Exactly.
And I think you have to ask if you're the Thunder, at what point do we try to go out and get someone who's more established, who these young guys can learn from instead of fighting themselves?
Exactly. And I think that's the big thing about not having vets on the team because there are certain instances where it's a fighting time because, you know, the vet, he's a vet, he wants his PT. And then you also have the young guys who want to develop and get better. But assuming that there's not a bad relationship with the teammates, at the end of the day, that older guy still has league lessons that he can teach these guys and just life lessons too that could help them develop as people and players. But when you're fighting other young guys for time, there's nothing that you're picking up for the most part. Like you might pick up a couple things here and there, but it's not the same level of tutelage, I should say, that you're getting from having a vet teammate that can really be like a secondary coach that's more on your level.
Right. And I think the Thunder are probably the only rebuilding team that don't have that. You look at the Rockets, they have Eric Gordon. They
Mm-hmm.
had Dennis Schroeder.
Mm-hmm. We
You
got
look at
DJ Augustine too.
The Magic, Terrence Ross, and you look at the Pistons, they had Jeremy Grant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that each of these rebuilding teams had a guy that's been in the league more than 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the Thunder don't have that, at least not to my knowledge. And I think that's going to be a problem down the line.
Oh, absolutely. It's like we're talking about, and that I think the biggest issue isn't that the Thunder don't have that because, you know, from season to season they've had it. The problem is that they don't have a committed, consistent guy there. Like for the Rockets, we've had Eric Gordon this whole time for our young guys. So it's a consistent person there.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Thunder, they've had CP3, then he was gone, and then they had Derek Favors. It's a revolving door of vets, and ultimately, what does that accomplish for them?
Man, you said CP3, and I honestly forgot that CP3 played for the Thunder. That was a wild time.
Yeah,
CP3 on the Thunder.
that whole season was just weird. You know, not even getting into the fact that the bubble happened, but even before that, that was just a weird season.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and transition to the question of, should the Thunder use/keep all of their picks, or should they do something else, via trade?
I definitely don't think they need to keep all of the picks. They have way too many picks to keep all the picks. Because we're talking about they have picks till like what 2027. There's there's no way that this team gets into a winning situation by keeping picks all the way up to 2027 and actually drafting all of these guys and trying to develop them. It's just that just sounds like an endless cycle of tanking.
Mm-hmm.
So I think definitely at some point, especially if they don't want Shea to leave or Josh Giddey when he gets better, like you at some point you're gonna have to move some of those picks to get them some more help.
Mm-hmm. And as good as a scouting department as you may think you have, and even though, guys like Shea, Giddy, and Dort have all seemed to pan out,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a time where you miss on a draft pick.
Mm-hmm. And then
And
also
it seems inevitable with this amount of picks.
oh yeah, and then let's not forget the fact that they didn't even draft Shea in the first place. They got him through a trade.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's true. He got drafted by the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
um, well, still, regardless, that doesn't, there will be a time where they're going to have a draft bust,
Oh, absolutely.
especially if it's this endless tank, like you said.
I mean, some people already think that Chet is that draft bust because of this injury.
I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah, no,
That's ridiculous.
it's way too soon to be trying to say all that, but just the thought is out there, and it gives credence to your point that at some point, if you try and tank all these years, or even unintentionally tank all these years, and get these high picks, you are bound to miss on at least one of these high picks.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you see as the outlook for the Thunder for at least the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, if I take it year by year, I think this next year is a 100% definite tank. Don't even worry about even pretending like you're going to compete. Then next year, I say they still need to, I don't want to say they need to tank or compete. They just need to focus on catching Chet up to speed and then developing whatever high draft pick that they get next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I think the timeline should be, again, assuming that everything plays out well, no major injuries happen again. I think that third year is the year where they need to start focusing on trying to be competitive, even if it doesn't necessarily work out, which it more than likely won't. By that third or fourth year in this timeline, they need to be focusing on being competitive.
I've heard some discussions or talks of people saying the Thunder will be competitive this year. And with Chet out, I definitely think that's a no. I was pretty certain
No.
that that wasn't going to happen even with Chet. But I mean, I saw some people saying that they were going to be like the 10th seed. They were going to get in that playoff
What?
playing.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
Look, I get that there's some worse teams out there. I definitely think the Spurs have a really good chance of being the last team in the West. Obviously, the Rockets more than likely still won't be that competitive this year. I think they'll be better, but I mean, the Portland's up there is a team that I'm not sure how they'll do. Um, the Jazz are probably going to take a pretty big fall, but to say that they're going to be in the play-in, I mean that's a little ridiculous.
A little is an understatement. I refuse to believe that the Thunder are anywhere above the 13th seed. I refuse to believe that they are any higher than 13th seed this season.
Unbiased Rockets fan opinion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which team right now do you think is better, the Rockets or the Thunder?
I think with Chet getting injured, that automatically puts us as the better team. Plus, when you look at it, we have a wider range of talent because, again, with the Thunder, The only real talent they have is Shea and Josh Giddey. Whereas we have KPJ, we have Jalen Green, who really started to blossom like crazy in the second half of the season. We have Jabari, obviously. We have Shingun, who's making his way up. We still have Eric Gordon as a vet. So we have a lot more to work with as a team.
Would you say that if the Thunder do make the play-in, that this would be an all-time bad take from us?
Oh, yeah. If they magically make the play in, this is definitely one of our worst takes so far. Who knows what we'll say in the future? But yeah, as of right now, if they make the play in, especially with me saying that I guarantee they don't get any higher than 13 seed, yeah, that'll be a tough look.
Yeah, that's I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even consider it a bad take because it just seems more of like the
Yeah,
more realistic
you see,
possibility.
that's the thing about it. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad take. It would be a cold take where
Mm,
it makes sense at the time, but it ages really poorly. And so I think
mm.
that it would be an all-time cold take from us.
Okay, there we go. Was there any other questions you wanted to ask me about this or put out there for the Chet situation or even just Thunder in general?
Yes, I had one last question, and
Okay.
that is, with this major injury, what do you think this means for NBA players playing in pro-am leagues during the summer moving forward?
I actually don't think it hurts them at all because at least for me, over the last couple of years, I've seen an increase of these, you know, pro players going into these pro-ams and Drew leagues or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think it hurts them at all. I think they're going to still continue to play, but I mean, they might try to be a little safer, maybe not play at their full potential. But I mean, I don't think you could really stop guys from going out there wanting to hoop.
You see, personally, I think that obviously there's an extent here. Like, if a player has enough pull in an organization, the team really can't make them. But I think for like younger guys like Chet and all that,
Hmm.
I think the team might step in and say, "Hey, no, we can't afford that." Especially if it's somebody who might be prone to injury or is known to be prone to injury. Yeah, I see teams stepping in to say, "No, we can't afford for you to do that."
I could see that too. But even like with LeBron, I don't know why LeBron's out there.
Hmm.
I mean, I understand that. Yeah, that's gonna bring a lot of attention to him. Like, look at the crowd that he drew just for, I don't remember what is the Jamal Crawford League or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, the crossover. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's funny that you said crowd that he drew because in the Drew League game that he played too.
Oh, that's right. That was when the dude tried to like dap him up and a bunch of bodyguards came out of nowhere.
Oh wait, did that happen then? I was just talking.
I don't remember
I don't
which
know if
league it
that
was in, but
happened in that game, but I know for sure it was the game that he played with DeMar.
mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'll stop them. Do I think they should be playing in these type of leagues? Probably not. Like, especially if like you're a guy like LeBron or DeMar who's already like, you know, all-star, superstar level.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, if you're a guy like, I don't know, I'll just throw a random name out there.
Malachi
Like
Flynn.
yeah, like Malachi Flynn or like, Ben McLemore or something like that. Then,
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I don't,
Those are the kinds of guys I think should still be playing in these like pro am leagues because obviously they're going to demolish these regular guys. But at the end of the day, it's because no offense to any of these players, but they don't hold that much value to a team.
mhm.
So they can afford to go out there, have a freak injury, and then whatever, we move forward from that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Was that all you wanted to go ahead and talk about for this episode?
Yep, that's it for me.
All right, well then we'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Isaiah, any last comments?
Don't forget, Share the podcast with as many people as you can.
All right, we will catch you on the next episode.